Roberto, welcome to the channel, and how are you doing today?
Fine, I slept pretty bad, but I'm doing fine now. Coffee woke me up, so nice to be here, and thank you for having me.
No worries, you're very, very welcome. We're very, very pleased to have you on the channel. So the first section is creative vision and inspiration. So what inspired you to create post-trauma, and how did the initial concept come about?
Okay, so it's always for me weird to explain these things, but how it started as something just for fun. I was working in another company back in the day, and I was planning on doing a game of my own, but it was like a tactical game, like turn-based, nothing to do with post model. But I started also doing screenshots for fun of like a horror game, and posting them on Twitter, and then people started liking those and retweeting them, and I was like, oh wait, maybe this thing I am doing for fun can be something I am doing not for fun, well, not for fun, like for fun and for work. So I decided to, yeah, why not? Let's do it. I'm having fun. People seem to like it. Let's do a game with this. And about what inspired me is I'm the type of player where if you give me like a photo mode in a game, I will spend more time taking screenshots than actually playing the game. So a fixed camera angles game is like photo mode on the steroids for me. So I had a lot of fun doing that, and I wanted to do something with that camera style. So that's basically, yeah, there's more stuff to it, but the short version is that one.
Oh, fantastic. I usually find that the best types of horror games are probably Resident Evil and Silent Hill are good ones, because they've always worked with their fixed camera angles and very much the tank controls. And I played a game the other week where I actually did a Resident Evil mod with Nemesis instead of Jill. But I had to use the analog sticks instead of the D-pad, because that's what I'm used to, and I thought, oh my god. But I love the fixed camera angles in post-trauma. They just work so well for the Silent Hill vibe, so you did an absolute fantastic job. So yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it a lot. Yeah, thank you very much. I agree with you. It's, for me, fixed cameras elevate the horror, because you can choose what you sell to the player, and you feel more vulnerable. And an enemy that it's off screen, suddenly you're imagining it's worse than it is, or I don't know. I like that vibe for it resonates more with me. And also it's like what I grew up with, so maybe it's also the nostalgia talking, but that's it. Yeah.
Cool, amazing. So on to the next question then, sort of tying in with that from your nostalgia. So what films, games, or other media most influenced the tone and style of post-trauma?
Okay, so a lot, because I can choose one, because it has influences of everything, and even if I'm not saying one, it doesn't mean it's not influenced by it, because I play them, and your brain eventually picks them up. Like the most obvious one, Silent Hill, it's obvious. A little bit, well, not a little bit, like a lot of Resident Evil, but more the classic ones, because the combat here is not a crucial part of the game, but it's more like the puzzles. The one thing I love a lot in games are puzzles. I'm a big horror fan, but my favorite franchise is Legend of Zelda, the old ones. Like my favorite game of all time is Majora's Mask, and I love puzzle games. I love solving riddles and how to advance to the next area. So, for example, Majora's Mask is a big inspiration for me, like how characters talk in that game. I find it really cool. I also like a lot The Evil Within, like the second one. I think it's a super underrated game. It deserves more. I love Silent Hill, but for example, my favorite horror game of all time, it's Dead Space, which has nothing to do with what I'm doing. But for example, a big inspiration from that game could be the sound design, because I think Dead Space sound design is top tier. It's like the way it plays just with sounds, like rattling, and it gets in your heart. So it has influences of everything. And even with all of that, we tried to make something our own, try to give it a little bit of its own personality. But if I had to choose just a few, I would say, it's the biggest one, Silent Hill, a little bit of Resident Evil, a little of Evil Within, but it's a little bit of everything, and I can't tell you all of them, but if I had to choose one.
Fantastic. Yeah, because I mean, when obviously the part that takes place in the subway where you've got the character, he's just walking, and then you've got like the music in the background, very much reminds me of Silent Hill Origins, where the character's just walking like along the road, and I thought that ticked with me, so I was like, yep.
Yeah. I think the music there was an idea of the music composer, and that was the example he showed me, like Silent Hill Origins, so I was like, what if we do this? And we're like, yeah, I think it's a really good idea, and that was his idea, not mine. And once we put it in there and we tried, it was like, yes, this feels right. Like let's do it, and yeah.
Okay, cool, fantastic, lovely. So the next question is: the game has a heavy psychological vibe. Were there any specific themes or emotions you aimed to explore?
Yes, it's hard for me because I am not a psychologist, so what I try to convey is more like the isolation, like the character being alone, like being confused, like the regret of doing something, even if you're don't remember what you did, or but sometimes, because sometimes you feel bad and you don't know why you feel bad. Maybe for me, I don't know, maybe I should go to a psychologist, but it's there, like playing with the isolation and not. I find it hard to explain also in English, but it's but mostly isolation, regret, uncertainty, and being immersed in a place that's style with you, but also you're curious to advance and not jump scare you too much, like let you immerse in the game. Yeah, I don't know if I answered it correctly, but I don't know how to answer it in a way that sounds good in an interview. But yeah.
That's okay, no worries. I mean, when I played the game, obviously, the first thing I noticed was with the protagonist in particular is that he is an elder. I don't want to say elderly gentleman because that's probably the wrong phrase to use. Like a seasoned gentleman. Is that the correct word to use? He's an old man, because he was not the first protagonist I had in the game. When I started working in the game, the first protagonist wasn't a young girl, not super young one. But then Epic released this metahuman tool to make human characters, and I tried a few of those. And when I tried Roman, it felt right for me. Suddenly, I was like, I like this guy. I know there's a lot of people love him, a lot of people don't like him at all, but for me, it felt right playing as someone who, if you saw him on the street, you wouldn't notice him. It's like, he's just a dude. He has a little bit of belly, he's old, but it also, I think it makes sense with the context of the game. It's vulnerable. Like, he's not a superhero. He encounters a monster. The logical reaction is run from that guy because you're not going to win that fight, even if he's able to in-game. But also, if you run for too long, you run out of breath. For me, it feels right playing as Roman. And the first moment I introduced him in the game, I was sure, no, I need this guy to be the protagonist, so we changed the story to fit him. I think it's also nice as well because I know in most video games that are sort of out at the moment, most of the protagonists tend to be a lot younger. So it's actually nice to see a protagonist who is actually a more, let's say, elderly gentleman, sort of taking the reins on and stuff. And I have to admit, when I came across one of the monsters, and I'm thinking in my head, oh no, and then he's running, bless him, with his stamina, and I'm thinking, oh.
Yeah.
I sort of felt, I sort
Yeah,
of feared for him a lot.
nice. Yeah, that was the intention. So glad it reached you. Yeah.
All right, perfect. So the next section is the development process. So what was the most challenging part of bringing post-trauma to life as a solo or small team project?
Oh, lot of things, but the biggest one I would say like managing the budget because the I mean you play the game. It's like I'm aware of the shortcomings of the game, but I think with the resources we had, I'm proud of the final result. But it was hard to uh, decide where to spend the money because with our kind of team size and money, every dollar counts. So that was hard to do. Also, even if I worked in other games in the past, I was part of a bigger company. Like this is the first time I was doing something where I was the boss, and I have to spend a lot of time doing things that I don't like, but I have to do. Like, oh yeah, this artist now needs these things. So I have to implement this tool for him, or the marketing guys are asking me to do this other thing, or I have to send the invoices for this other thing, or arrange a meeting with the vocab guys. Like, it's a lot of stuff, and that was too heavy on my head. We got a little bit more money mid-cycle, so I was able to hire another programmer. So that made me help. Sorry, that freed my head a little bit more. So I was able to focus more on actual level design or more puzzles or animations because in a small studio, everyone does a little bit of everything. Like I did mocap, I did rigging, I did animations, level design, lighting, puzzles. But the programmer also did a lot of puzzles, and he was really good at doing puzzles. I hired him for just doing programming, but he also did level design on puzzles. The artist sometimes I was like, "We need this for a puzzle. It has to be this thing," and he was like, "Can I do this other thing instead?" I was like, "Yes, please." So it's a lot of things to have in your head. And even if you have your idea at the start, eventually you have to reduce the scope a little bit and choose what to keep in the game and what to leave out so the game eventually reaches. So yeah, there's a lot of challenges. Also social media, because even if I'm here, I'm having a lot of fun. Like I have a lot of anxiety speaking in public or answering to social media because I am not used to it, and I'm a little bit of an introvert person, even if I try to hide it very well, I hope. But that's why I'm talking super fast, by the way. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff. But even with all of that many hard things, I enjoyed it and I will do it again. So yeah, I think that's it. Like a lot of stuff.
I was going to say, it sounds like you had to wear many hats, and I know obviously when you're sort of, if it's the first time you're doing something like this, you're thinking I've got this to worry about, that to worry, and that to worry about, and then sometimes you have to remember just to sort of like take like a step back and sort of just break it down into smaller bits and pieces. I mean, I've never made a game myself. I would love to, but because I work like 9 to 5 and I have a child, and it's like, oh, it's just not possible. But yeah, I think it's also nice as well because we did an interview a couple of days ago, and I think when you're working with like maybe like a couple of other people, it sort of takes like the pressure off a little bit, which maybe if you are planning towards the end of the interview a sequel, then you can have that pressure taken off of you, which will allow you to have a bit more breathing space.
Yes. I mean, we can talk later about it, but yeah, it's like if I had to do it again, the first thing I will do is first ask for a little bit more money and have more help from the beginning, so I can focus on. Because sometimes I felt bad because if I didn't do something, it's not that I'm not doing it. It's like my work not advancing blocks other people from advancing, and that's a lot of pressure. So yeah, but it's and if you ever decide to do a game, I will be super happy. If you need any advice, please let me know, and I will be super.
Oh no, that would be fantastic. Oh, I mean, I am a huge horror fan. I mean, I've been into horror practically since I was about 11. I'm almost 40 now, so yeah, I have a lot of ideas, and I think being a parent, I thought about it the other day, and I thought I would love to incorporate a horror game around like the parental pressures of like bringing up a child, and I thought, how could I incorporate that into a game? I bet a lot of parents could probably relate to that. So yeah.
I can't relate, but I imagine it could resonate with a lot of people. Yeah, it must be very, very hard.
Oh, it's very, very hard. Cool. So how long was the development cycle, and how did it evolve over time?
So the actual development was 3 years, because I signed with, I think, with a Fury in April 2022, 2021. Mm-hmm. I know it's 3 years ago, but my maths are very, very bad. So okay. 3 years ago. Before that, I spent like almost a year doing a demo that was okay, so let me start from the beginning. Back in the day, I was working in another company, and I decided to try to do something on my own. So, but the problem is, as you know, if you're working all day, even if you're trying to do this on your free time, you can't do it. Like no, eventually your body just tells you like one thing or the other thing, but both at the same time is not viable. But thanks to the Twitter screenshots and everything, I got enough attention, so I decided, okay, let's leave my job. I will bet on this. And okay, I had saved for around being able to live for around 6 months. So I decided to use those 6 months to release a demo. I did that with duct tape and hopes and dreams, but people liked it. A lot of people streamed it, and a lot of people speak about it, and that allowed me to find a publisher. And as soon as I found a publisher, we restarted the development from the scratch, because the original demo was something done quick to get the idea out. This is what the game will be about, more or less, and to prove that I was able to do something. Because if you go to a publisher with only a page and nothing playable, it's hard to find one. So 3 years. At the beginning, I was alone. Around 2 months in, we were able to hire an artist, a concept artist. He was doing art only, like 2D concept art, but he was able to do also some sculpting. And with Unreal Engine, you are able to put those in the game, more or less. A little bit later, we were able to hire a writer, and he was able to do the story. He was awesome, but he was only for that part. Like, he was only there for like a month, even less. So he wrote the story, he got some feedback after, but this is what I did, because I had a rough idea of the story in my head, but I wanted someone with more brain than myself for that to do it. We later got an actual 3D artist. A little bit later, we got the musician. And a little bit later, we got an animator. So people were coming bit by bit. And in the last year of development, we got what I told before, like a programmer. So he was able to help me to free some of my time to do stuff. So it's a weird development process, because again, like, we were full-time, maximum time of people working full-time on the game were 5, but for the most of development, we were 3 people.
Okay.
Because even if I wanted to give the artist as much time as possible, we didn't have the money for that. So I was like, this is the amount of months we can have you. And after this point, I can pay you more. So of course I'm not going to ask them to work for free. So it's like, this is the time, and I always try to let people know how much many months were there. But so yeah, and at the end, we were three, and right now I'm back to being alone. So I'm fixing a lot of stuff and trying to implement a lot of feedback. So it's a weird cycle. Like in other games, you usually have all the team all the time. Here it wasn't like that, and that affects the game, of course. But it's what had to be done with the resources we had. So in the end, I'm super happy with what we had. But it's some people are a little more aware, like because I've seen some people say like, why does this game doesn't have these things if this other game has them? And like, I appreciate a lot your feedback, but you're comparing a high budget game, or not high budget, but like a big game versus ours. Like even if it looks like realistic graphics, this is an indie game with a real small budget. So that's why also our price is low, because I want people to know that this is a small game. Like don't expect a high production. Like it's just a low budget to fans of the old school genre. Like fans should like it, but please be aware of comparisons, because I had some people like expecting like with the other trailers, because I think one of the problems we had is like the trailers looked very good, and I'm super happy with the person who did the trailer, because he managed to do something amazing. But some people saw them and expected this to have a higher production budget, and some people were even comparing us, oh, this is the next Silent Hill. No, it's not. Like I appreciate you a lot, but this is not the next Silent Hill, and I was always aware of that, because you can compete with that, and I'm not trying to. Like, so yeah, I don't know if I answered the original question, because you told me something. I tend to go into other questions, but yeah.
That's okay. Going off on a tangent is absolutely fine. And I think, well, I mean, the game has done incredibly well. I mean, I had a look on Steam. It's had lots and lots and lots of positive reviews. And even the YouTube channel Residents of Evil, who have over like 472k subscribers, love it. Because I watched, they streamed it the other week. And I thought, oh, it was really cool. I'd love to have an interview with Roberto to talk about the game and obviously its success and all the notions that you've gone through. And I picked back up on the video this morning, and JJ was like, this is great. I love this. This is amazing. You know, it's like he loved like the character, and he loved like the sound design. So we mentioned about, you know, the protagonist walking through like the subway, and the music reminded them of Silent Hill Origins and stuff, and the gameplay. And I think it's nice as well, because now, you know, the game has had a lot of exposure to a lot of people, not just on social media as well, but like to a very diverse horror genre of people. Does that make sense? And then they can pick up on the game and be like, this is amazing, you know. I mean, and I recommend it to my community, and they're like, I need to get on that. So yeah,
I appreciate that a lot. Yeah. It's for me. It feels weird, people saying good things about the game. Like, I don't know why. Like, it always feels weird for me. But I'm also super lucky that I think the horror community, it's, if not the best community out there, I think one of the best, because it's very supportive. Like, I've worked in other games, and horror fans usually are super wholesome, super fine. Okay, so yeah, I feel like the horror community is super wholesome. Like, it's every time you post something, like they are very supportive, and I don't know why, but they are like, it's like, and they want to help you, and they want to give you feedback. And even if we announce a delay, they are like, don't worry, take your time and do the best you can. And like, because I don't know, every time I posted something, I was super scared of, oh, what if they don't like this, or what if they, I don't know. So I appreciate a lot when people play the game and stream it and recommend it to other people. And I mean, and even if the people that did not like it, because of course you can make a game that everyone will like, even when they did not like it, they were uh, friendly about it, and they gave feedback of why they did not like it, so I can improve it, and for the next or for this one, try to fix it. So it's really really nice and really a big relief, because I was super scared before releasing the game about how people will react, and seeing people like you like being excited about the game, it's for me it I don't know, it improves my mood a lot. So thank you again.
Positivity is a wonderful thing, and I mean, I suppose in this day and age as well, if you're doing like a project and you've got all these things and you're sort of feeling like I suppose it's only natural to feel like negative, especially when you release a game, because you are kind of, the internet are all these people, we call them keyboard Karens, who live in a dungeon in their mum's basement in their vest and their pants just playing a game, and they are like the most negative people out there. But, like I said, the horror community, we are really, really supportive, and, everyone's always willing, to say, like to give their feedback and just sort of give like little pointers and stuff. And obviously, if you do decide to do a sequel, obviously you've got that information, you can take that on board and be like, yay, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Cool, amazing. So the next bit, so the next question is, can you talk about the tools or engine used in development and why you chose them?
Yeah, so the game is made with Unreal Engine, because before this game I worked with Unity for 10 years, almost 10 years, and I was tired with them. I did, like, most of my experience was with Unity, but the way the game I had in mind was easier to do in Unreal. And maybe this is more depth-related tool, but for me, it shows that Unity doesn't use Unity to make games. So there are tools that I depend on external developers or plugins from the store to make games, and I got to a point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. With Unreal, Unreal 5 has some problems here and there. Most of them are my fault, because it's the first game I do with Unreal. So it's solo development at the start, first time solo, and first time with a new engine that I didn't know how to use. So the next one will be better on that part, on the technical part. But with Unreal, it's easier to do realistic graphics. And the metahuman thing has allowed a lot of people, even if right now I wouldn't use it for the next project, the metahuman thing, because it's, for those who don't know, it's like a tool for creating digital humans with realistic graphics, almost AAA. But back in the day, that allowed me to have a character in there in a short amount of time. And in fact, Roman came out because I was trying stuff just for fun. So thanks to that tool, I was able to get a character I could relate with, or even with the for the stamina or the vulnerability. But and also I like a lot with Unreal that every time I need a tool, like I need to animate this thing, or I need to model this thing, like all the tools are inside Unreal. With other engines, you depend on plugins or external tools. Of course, we use tools. We use like the 3D artists use Steveras, or I use Photoshop, or even I hate Adobe, but it is what it is. You have to. It's the tool I know how to use, so I have to use it. I hope one day I will be able not to use it, but it is what it is. But with Unreal, it was that, like, and it also allowed me to do cool scenes fast. Because if I did this game with Unity, it would have taken double the amount of time, and it would have looked worse. And that doesn't mean that Unity is a bad engine, because I don't want to start a war here, like, oh, this engine is worse than this one. No, but for certain type of games, one engine is better than another, and if it was this game was like had a lot of logic or whatever, like I would have used Unity because I'm more comfortable with that, and I prefer I working actual code instead of like the blueprint system that Unreal uses. I mean, you can write code with Unreal, but C++ for me it's a little bit heavy in my head, and I'm still getting used to it. So there are benefits to both, but for this type of game, I felt that Unreal was the right choice, and I was spending a lot of time doing the game instead of fighting with the engine. So that's why I went with Unreal.
Okay, cool. I mean, I've tried to use Unreal in the past, and I think you're right. You know, certain engines for certain games, and obviously whatever you're comfortable with. And I've tried in the past, and I'm thinking, not for me. Not for me. I'm good. We'll skip that one.
It's fair. Yeah, it's at first a little bit overwhelming, but with any tool that you go with, and once you claim that mountain, there's a value of like, oh, now that I know the basics, I'm having fun doing this. So once you reach that point, it's way easier. But getting to that point takes a lot of willpower. Yeah.
Cool, amazing. So next one's actually what we spoke about earlier on in the interview. So let's go back to puzzles. So how did you approach puzzle design to balance challenge and accessibility? Now, I've done puzzles in the past in games, and I have to admit they are not my strong point. Obviously, being a woman, I get a little bit aerated at times. But they are very fun and very challenging. So how did you go about approaching that?
Yeah. So our idea with the puzzles was that first we didn't want to hold you too much, and when I was little, I loved taking notes in games, so I wanted to have that in post-trauma. And the idea for balancing the puzzles was it's impossible to make a puzzle game where everyone finds all the puzzles challenging. You can do that. Like there will always be, like, because with post-trauma, for example, I've seen people say, "Oh, the puzzles are super hard," but I also seen people say, "Oh, the puzzles are super easy." So, like,
it's a nice balance.
The idea with them, like, I try to make them like, I prefer you getting stuck in one puzzle and having fun with 9. And one of them, like, maybe you have to look on Google, but if every puzzle is easy and you don't get stuck in any one of them, none of them are challenging, none of them are fun. So the idea to try to balance that was like, okay, for example, the first puzzle in the game, that puzzle is there because if you don't like that puzzle, if you can't beat that puzzle, this game is not for you. And that's why it was there at the beginning. And the idea was like, so if you get stuck in a puzzle, but when you see the solution, you're like, oh, it was this thing. I was overthinking it. Then I believe it's a good puzzle. If you are stuck in a puzzle and when they tell you a solution, you go like, okay, whatever. Then I think it's a bad puzzle. So the idea was that, like, yeah, even if you get stuck in a puzzle, when someone tells you the solution, you should go like, oh, okay, it was my problem, not the game's problem. I hope we reach that in the game. Maybe the last puzzle in the game is a little bit too hard. But other than that, I think for the most part, it's a good middle point. But as always, you can please everyone, but we try to please someone who likes puzzles, but they are not super, super obscure, but they require you to look at the environment, take notes, experiment with things. We don't tell you, like we also have to, like, you have to use items yourself. The game doesn't use items for you. So even if that's something small, like one puzzle in the hospital where you have to give one thing to, I don't want to say what puzzle it is, but you having to use the items like, wait, what if I try this? And then the game says like, oh, it's correct. Like, oh, that's nice, I like this. I don't know, it's that kind of vibe, like trying stuff, streaming the stuff, taking photos of the screen, writing stuff down, and yeah, I think that's it. I don't know, but I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's not like not overthinking. Like, yeah, once I did a solution, don't be like I was overthinking it. It's fair. That's the idea of like.
All right, cool, amazing. So the last question in this section was, so what was your philosophy when designing the game's combat or lack thereof?
Yeah. So from the first moment, like from day one, we knew that combat wasn't going to be the focus of the game because we don't have the resources to do a responsive combat because those require a lot of animations and a lot of time and a lot of polish, and we don't have that. So the focus with the combat was the combat has to be there because you have to be afraid of dying. If there's no monsters in the game, eventually you can keep the player with tension up to a certain point, but once the player realizes that there's no danger of dying, they will feel, oh, I can chill, I can be safe. But if there's something there that can kill you and make you lose progress, then you can get the tension back. So the idea with the combat was that, like, the combat is there. You have, except from the first enemy and bosses, you can choose to not kill the enemies. You can almost walk past them and choose to kill them or not if they are in your way, because you have to run through that hallway out of time. But if you are coming to this game expecting challenging combat or heavy combat experience, this game is not for you. Like, I'm sorry, but that was the idea. Like, being there, you are playing as an old man. He can defend himself. You have a different variety of weapons, but there's not a lot of enemy encounters. Like, there's some enemies here, some enemies there. We try to space them enough to give a little bit of peace of mind, but also keeping you guessing if there's going to be an enemy there or not. And I think the combat is good enough. I know it sounds bad in an interview, but that was the idea with the combat. Like, it has to be good enough so it's not detriment to the game, but it's not something that you will play the game for. Like, no. The idea was like, you're playing this game because of puzzles and atmosphere and music, but not the combat. It's more Silent Hill in that regard than Resident Evil.
I was going to say, because obviously when I had a look at the enemies on in the game, and I thought, oh my god, there's like a monster here, and it's not like kind of split into two, but like two separate individuals with one body, and I'm thinking, how did you come up with that kind of concept for the monster?
One of them, like that one, was I did something in VR, super fast, and the original enemy was super ugly. But thankfully, the two artists we got in the game were way better than me expressing their idea. So, for example, the split enemy, I gave the 3D artist that model and said, do whatever you want with it, have fun. This is the basic shape. Try to make something weird with it. My only guide with when designing monsters to the artist were like, it has to be something more not human, but like realistic. Like, it's not a ghost. It's something like you can actually fight in the real world. I don't know how to say it, but more like grounded enemies. And that was my only guidance with that. Like, the concept artist was super fucking good, and I'm super proud of what he did, and I'm super happy. And if I do another one, I will snatch him for whenever he's working, and
We're just going to keep him.
Again. Both of those were super talented, and the designs were those. Like, I got them a little bit. Like, I prefer this thing instead of this other thing. Like, for example, with Jill, at the beginning, well, so a little bit of spoiler, someone who hasn't played it, but it's like the original concept of Jill, she had a spider head. My only feedback with that was like, no, I prefer like a human head because you have to relate a little bit with her. So I guide a little bit, but for the most part, like monsters were like crazy idea of those two guys. Like, and then I think he's posting now. Like, I don't know if it's like or not, but the concept art of the original enemies. I hope I can share them soon. But there were some crazy things there that I wish we had the time and the money to bring them alive because his head was really, really fucked up and I loved it. And I was, my directions were like, with environments and whatever, like, please go crazy and I will then tone it down and see, we can do this. But yeah.
I think the other cool thing about it is as well, I mean, when we were talking about the Evil Within 2 earlier, looking at the creature design almost reminded me of like a lot of, what do they call it? Like body horror kind of thing. And I thought that concept was great because when I had a look at not just the, I don't know, like the double-headed person, and then like the one that's like a great big giant, like big pimply bloody circly thing. I don't know what you call them. I don't know. Do the monsters have names? I'm not sure.
We call them the potato head.
Potato heads.
The other we call them the twins, but it's like, yeah, it's that was the idea. Like it has to be enemies that you feel that you could defeat in real life. I don't know if that makes sense, but if it's something that floats or it's ethereal, like for example, the nuns at the school, the first pass of them were like, instead of walking, they were floating. Because that's easier for us to animate. But it was like, yeah, but because they are floating now, they seem like ghosts. And it makes you feel less threatened by them because it feels something ethereal. But if everything it feels like more, I don't know, like it has weight, it has a chance of existing in the real world, I think it feels more creepy. I don't know, like, okay, what's happening here?
Yeah, you definitely have to have creepy monsters for a very creepy vibed game, that's for sure. Because otherwise it's not classed as scary. Okay, perfect. So the next section is world building and story. So the environments feel very dreamlike and unsettling. How did you design the world to support that?
Lots of iteration. Like the idea with the environment was they have to be places where you can relate within the real world, like subway station, the hospital, like all of those are places where more or less you have been there, and that makes the game feel more creepy because almost everyone has been into a subway station. So even if it's not that subway station, you feel like, oh, this is something that could happen to me. Like, not obviously not, but like the place feels like something like grounded in reality. And then on top, we try to add layers of weird things. Like, for example, the ads on the subway have the text messed up. So it's like, so is this guy dreaming or not? Like when you try to read something in a dream, the letters don't make sense. So we try to add that. Or we have the freeze here, the flash here and there. Or we try to mix two environments into one, like there's one place with the hospital mixed with the subway station. So, or put something of another environment that doesn't belong there. So you're like, why is that thing there? So it's something, things here and there that make your brain go like, this is not right, but I can't tell why. That was the idea with the environments, and basically a lot of iterations and trying to find the best camera angles for each environment, because sometimes a room, it's normal, but you place the camera in a certain position and you tilt it a little bit and suddenly that room feels super oppressive. And it's just a camera angle change. If this game was first person, the device will be completely different. So that helps a lot with the world building. We had a written lore for internal things, so we can refer to that when adding things to the environments. And that's basically like a lot of iteration, a lot of playing with the cameras, a lot of the lights. Because even if this is a horror game, I try with a lot of environments have saturated colors here and there and try to make something beautiful in a way. Like even if it's a horror game, I think you can have vivid colors here and there, bright lights in some places. So when suddenly you don't have them, you're like, oh, this was very bright and now it's not. I want that back. So it goes to your brain like, oh, I miss this thing. So I think that's it, yeah.
I think one of the things to me, like when I had to look at the subway and I'm sort of walking around with like my crowbar, like thinking, oh god, someone going to jump out at me. And then obviously you've got things like, it's like the little details. So you've got like the eye, like on the wall, it's there, and you're thinking somebody's watching me, sort of thing. And then you've got like the shopping cart for me was just like, oh, this is amazing because it. I've seen quite a few streamers and they're like, oh, shopping cart.
That shopping cart, like. I don't regret it because a lot of people enjoyed it, but with QA, like, you could get out of the map super easily with a shopping cart, and it gave us a lot of problems the first iteration when you were touching the shopping cart and the shopping cart was pushing you and slouching out of the map. But in the end, it's worth it because it feels like the game is more alive. Like, oh, this is not super static, everything. Like, I wish I would have done more around the game, but at least it's on places in there, yeah. But yeah,
maybe you have to design like a DLC where you've got like Potato Head and you've got like Roman pushing a shopping cart and scooping up the monsters and then just running them through the subway station.
Definitely, on the train tracks with your shopping cart.
that could be like a you could do like a video like a blooper on like the day, like the game. So like with like next year, like where the game was released on the date, and then just do like a little blooper of him just pushing the monsters in the shopping cart. Thanks for so many, wish lists and stuff. That'd be quite cool.
I have to recompile a lot of bloopers because I think I have some screenshots here and there of like when Roman meeting Jill, like there's like once things had a back and Jill was like doing a backflip before meeting you, or like Roman with his hair like in some places it bugged out and he looked like a super saiyan, like super big hair. It was super amazing. Or when Wolfram was walking and his head was super big, I was like, maybe I should record that. I'll record it.
Or maybe something would be quite cool, like if you're posting on social media, like Roman with like his bad hair, like in your social media caption, having a bad hair day, Roman feels the same. So it could be little things like that. Would be quite funny to see. Okay, cool. So without spoiling too much, can you share what the protagonist's journey represents thematically? I think I've said that correctly. Thematically.
Without spoiling, it's hard. I think we are maybe a bit too vague about it. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But it's a journey of like. I mean, I know it sounds cliche, but it's a journey of accepting what you did and why you are there. You have to get the good ending, or maybe you will not understand what's happening in there, because some people reach ending A and be like, wait, what? And ending A or B, I don't remember which one it was, but it's a journey of like, getting to know yourself a little bit and accepting what you did and forgiving. So it's I don't know how to explain it without spoiling it. So
that's okay.
I think that's it. Yeah, it's like.
Okay, cool. So the last question in this section. So, were there any story elements that had to be cut or changed during development?
Yes, like there was more plan, but at some point you have to choose between your release or you don't. So there were some things that we had to cut, of course, and also some things that changed a little bit, and things that I would change if I had the chance. But for example, after you record the voice lines and you record the mocap, there's no turning back, or not, at least without spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
So we had to improvise some stuff to make sense of some stories. So, for example, there was a moment where one character was meant to die, but we changed it so it doesn't die because it didn't feel right with the story, or one cutscene more here and there to explain this other thing we are not explaining. So we have to now try to find a way of explaining it with text instead of with voice acting. And it's a process where you have to iterate a lot, but now that everything is done, it's easy to see what things you will do different. But at the beginning, it's something like you can plan for, like, and it is what it is at the end, no? But like, it's right now it's like now it's like, oh, I will change this thing, this other thing, but in the end, I'm happy with the story. But of course, if we have more money, we will include more stuff there, answer more questions, or at least find a way of hinting them differently. Because, for example, with Freya, it's easy to see what her trauma is, or I think I hope it is. With Roman, it's also it's a little more hard, maybe. With Carlos, it's harder. So if I was able to explain it better or have the resources to do it again, I would do it differently. So, yeah. With every game, there's cuts to be done near the end, and of course, here they were.
Okay, cool. So the next section is audio and atmosphere. So you did mention before about the soundtrack and the audio bits and pieces. So sound design plays a huge role in horror. So how did you approach it in post-trauma?
Yeah. So for more than half of the development, I was doing the audio design myself, and I was not super happy with it. Because we have the composer and the audio designer. And the composer, Nicolas, he's amazing. Like, the music he did for the game, I'm happy, more than happy. And the good thing is I had some things in my head for the game, like I want the game to sound like this. And when I told him, we talked about it, he did what I asked him, but then later he came to me and said, I think maybe we need to do this other thing. And he was right. And I was like, he knew better than myself what the game needed in terms of music. And that helped me a lot to make the game feel better. Because I am not a musician. And, so even if I had in my head, oh, I think it should sound like this, he told me, like, hey, let's try this. We tried it, and he was like, let's try this other thing. And I was like, yeah, okay, let's go for it. And he was right. And as soon as he changed some things here and they were like, you are right, we should do this. You have your freedom to do whatever you want. And he made the game sound way, way, way better. And with the audio design, we managed to find a super awesome audio designer. And as soon as he joined the team, everything felt 10 times better.
Oh, that's good.
And I'm not exaggerating, like 10 times better, because I had some songs here and there, but I'm not able to record everything, or I'm not able to balance the audio levels, or do a footstep sound on this place, or when the enemy hits. I can do it, but I have to use stock sounds or record them with my bad microphone or whatever. But he understood what the game needed to, and he did an amazing job. And as soon as he did that, I trusted him, and I told him, like, I trust you, do everything you need. And he did. He did even more things that I asked. Like he like, I am super happy. And again, like, if I do another game, I don't care where it's working. I will snatch him and go back here again, because he elevated the game. I always thought, and I am agree that a good horror game is 60% audio. The audio is 60% of the experience, and he made that 60% feel way better. I mean, and he was able to do it in a year and a half, I think. Year, maybe. I don't know. He joined the team super late, because we managed to get a little bit more money after. Well, I don't know if I can do that, but yeah, we managed to get a little more money, and then we were able to get him, and it was worth every single cent, and I will pay double for him if I had to. So yeah.
He did a wonderful job, because I know when I put my headphones in, and like when Roman's trying to get like a fuse, and it's almost like using like an extended paper clip to like put through the gap, and then you're dragging it, and then you just hear this monster noise in your headphones and thinking, oh shit, what now?
Exactly. Yeah. He did monster noises. He did the footsteps. He did the cloth rubbing of Roman's. Like, there's a lot of sounds that you don't notice them, but your brain does. That when you are doing a cast, it's like, oh, he did a footstep of sliding, or a footstep, hard footstep, or no, if you are in wood, now this wood has a probability of creaking, or this monster does this thing, but if you're in another room, the audio level changes because you're not supposed to hear this, or the train. Like, I watch a lot of channels that record a loop of one session of a game, and I use that as an ambience audio. I love that a lot. And with the train, he did that. Like, you can mute all the sounds and just leave the background out and sound effects, and the train sounds like a train, and it sounds really good, and it has a lot of layers, so it doesn't repeat. So it's a lot of work, and he did it super well.
Oh, excellent stuff. I can see why you want to snatch him back up now if you were to do another game.
Sorry, can you put my internet close?
Yeah, it's okay. Okay, cool. So the next section is psychological horror elements. So how do you define psychological horror, and how did you make sure post-trauma tapped into it effectively?
For me, psychological horror is something that gets into you bit by bit, and again, where you can, maybe that's not the word, but almost relax, but not relax, because even if I like horror games, I'm really bad at playing them. I get scared easily, and I don't like jump scares. Like, I don't like that. I am not saying I don't want to say that jump scares are cheap. No, it's not that. It's like I personally don't have fun with jump scares because I get anxious a lot. Like, I can't play them. I'm really bad with those. So, but with psychological horror, even if there are jump scares here and there, for the most part, it's just creepy. It's just, everything is creepy. Everything is not right. Everything is slow paced, and I like that. I like being able to immerse in the game. I have to worry about jump scares. I have to worry about enemies, but it's more into your head. It's not because you are not afraid of because you are scared of something, of a loud noise. No, you are scared because, oh, you heard a little noise there. What could it be? Or this other guy is talking in a creepy way. Why are you creepy? Or why this object here? I like that a lot. I'm going to try to have that with the sound design, with the atmosphere, with the environments. Like, or just walking through a hallway and the camera rotating a little bit makes you feel like, why is this rotating, or why I can't see on that corner, why I have to approach it. So that's what we try to do, like more like slow, little by little, get comfortable but not too much, but then suddenly we grip you with a lot of things. So that's what I like about psychological horror, and that's psychological for me, and also like the characters like speaking, but also speaking in a way where it's like, why they are talking normally in a place like this. Like it's something like the dissonance of like, they are talking like, not every day, but normal people don't talk like that. I think that's something that Silent Hill does very, 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 very well. Like they are talking in a cemetery, and like, you just fought an enemy and you're talking like, oh yeah. But even with that, the pacing of the conversation it's weird. So I think that those are layers that get into your brain. Like something's not right. So that's psychological horror for me. And if we got it effectively here or not, that's for people to decide. I'm happy with the result. I think things could be better, of course, but I'm happy with the final result. And I think we managed to get a game that doesn't rely on jump scares to be creepy. It's not horror, super horror. It's more like being creeped out. Like, oh, I'm not comfortable here, but why?
Well, I can definitely tell you that post-trauma definitely made me feel creeped out rather than just like loads and loads and loads of jump scares. So that's a good sign.
Thank you. It means a lot then.
Cool. So the next section is community and reception. So I know we spoke about the community briefly earlier on. So what has the fan reception been like so far, and has any feedback surprised you? But simultaneously, have you had players interpret parts of the game in ways you didn't expect?
For the most part, the user reception have been very, very well. Like, I'm super thankful for all the people leaving good reviews, and even the ones that did leave some bad reviews, their feedback was super fair, and I agree with a lot of those. Like, yeah, even if you leave a negative review, if you explain why, I can agree with you, and I appreciate it, so I can fix that in the future. So, for the most part, everyone has been amazing. I still feel weird when people send me a screenshot. Oh, I got the platinum trophy and I beat the game 2 times. Like, oh wow! Like, I don't know. It makes me feel happy when I read that. And with the internet, it's sometimes one negative comment weighs more than 10 positive ones. It is what it is. But there has so much positive comments, so that makes me feel super happy with the final result, and hope people have received it, and I appreciate that a lot. And what was the other part of the question? Sorry, my brain.
It's okay, no worries. So the second part of the question was, have players interpreted parts of the game in ways you didn't expect? So obviously, I didn't know that that you could platinum the game, but now I do. So that's something I've got to strive for.
Okay. I saw some video, like more than one, but one that was talking about the story of post-trauma explained, and she got a lot of things right, and other things were almost right, but I liked how she interpreted those. Like, it's like, okay, I guess why you can see it that way. And for me, it's really interesting seeing people like, oh, okay, so because you saw this thing, you are thinking this other thing. I guess it makes sense, and it's really cool, like seeing, like, because if you leave some things vague, people fill the voice with their hand, and I like that. And it's weird but nice seeing people interpret the same thing in different ways.
Okay, cool. So here is the last two sections. So the first one is future plans. So do you have plans to expand the post-trauma universe or create more games in a similar style?
Right now, we'll see. Like right now, there's nothing planned, but I will love to do more. Like I love making games. Right now, it's hard to say because it's too much time doing one thing. But I'm already looking at doing more games, but more post-trauma. Yeah, I don't close the door. There's more things that, and I have an idea for a sequel, but nothing in paper now or nothing that I'm planning to do. But I have ideas for continuing the universe of post-trauma. And if I do other games, I think if I do another game right now, the next one should be something shorter, not shorter, but smaller in scope. Easier to develop with a small team, because this one it's hard. So I think that's like I want to do more games, but it will depend on if I have money. Because right now I have to wait until we get the money back, because with a publisher you have to pay what they paid you back, and then you can start earning. So until that moment happens, maybe I have to look for another job and work in a normal job before doing that. So we'll see. But I don't close the door to anything. I will love to do more post-trauma, but I will also love to do more things that are not super horror style. Like if I do something else, it will be horror, but it doesn't have to be psychological horror. Maybe I can do a small game that explores one silly idea and you can beat it in 1 hour. I don't know. And at the post-trauma, it's like, the good thing is that if I had to do another one with all the things we learned, I think we could do it faster and better. And then it will show, because after doing this, you learn a lot. And I learn a lot of stuff, and now I know how to approach different things. I know what to focus on. So if there's a next game, it will be even better, I think. And I'm curious to see what that game will be, and I hope one day I can do it, because it's like, okay, I want to do it again, but now with all the knowledge from the first one, so I can make something that I'm even more proud of.
Okay, cool. Well, at least now you know that the horror community are very supportive. So if you do release anything else, they are always 110% behind you. So that's perfect.
That's good to know, and I appreciate it a lot.
Cool. So this is the last section. So your personal insight. So what's one piece of advice you'd give to aspiring indie horror developers?
Okay, it's because I have a lot of things to say, but I think the most important one is have fun doing it. Because if it's something that you're going to do, if it's on your free time, because you have lots of free time, doesn't mind. But if it's something you're planning to do for a living, make sure you're having fun with it and that you like a lot what you're doing. Don't do something because you think it will sell well. Because no matter how much you love what you're doing, it's still a job. And there will be moments where you hate what you're doing. I loved post-trauma. I love what I do, but there were moments in the development where I was like, overwhelmed, stressed, not sure of what I'm doing. I should give up. I should have got this other job. But because in the end, I like what I'm doing, that made me continue. And also the amazing community support. But yeah, it's like, please be sure the game you are working on, it's a game you will like to play and a game you would like to develop. And try to keep it simple, like not try to add too many things, because unless you have a lot of people behind you, it's going to escalate exponentially. If you think something takes, I don't know, 3 weeks to complete, it's probably 5 weeks. Or if you think something costs like $10,000, maybe it's 20K. So that's another. But the most important one, like, please make sure you love the game that you're doing, because eventually there will be parts of development where you don't like certain things. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose it would also reflect, because if you're making a game and you're not having fun with it and you're thinking, what am I doing this for? And then it ends up being not right and really buggy, and then you release it and people are like, what is this? Sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's not even that. It's like game development. I think it's a job that you have to love it. If you don't do games because of the money, because most game devs don't have money. I know it sounds rough. Like it sounds like, but I've seen people that have a lot of money. Yeah, but those are the exceptions. Like, oh, that's I think right now the Schedule 2, sorry, like it's an indie game thing that's, oh, it's all over, it's everywhere, and look at the game, it's super silly and super simple, a single developer. Yes, but that's the exception. Like that's one in, I don't know, in a million, no, but close. So if you are going to make games, be aware of, like, you are going to work a lot on those. You're going to work more than you think. You're going to work more hours than other jobs, and in the end, you have to love what you're doing, or you won't be able to enjoy it. If you are doing it for the money, or because I think, oh, I'm going to get rich with this idea, maybe you will. I don't want to crush your dreams, but it's like, please make sure that you are also doing it because you like it. Because there will be moments where your head is going to pressure you. And at this point, I'm not even talking about players. I'm not even talking about once you release the game. No, I'm talking about mid-development. Like, you are just 4 months in, and suddenly at the beginning is everything is nice because you are doing the parts of the game that you like. For example, with post-trauma, let's say, I'm doing the cameras because I love doing the cameras and I love doing the environments. But you also have to do the UI, the coding, or you have to do the design, or even the social media. Because if you are an indie developer, you have to do all of those, and you have to keep the Twitter account alive, or talk with press, and maybe you don't like that, but you have to do it. So if the other parts you are doing don't bring you a lot of fun, the things that are not fun to do will weigh more and bring you down, and that affects your morale a lot. So please make sure that at least some parts of the development you enjoy them a lot so much that become the other ones are worth to do. Okay. That's my biggest advice. Like, please make sure that what you are doing is having fun.
Cool. Amazing. And the last question is, if you could collaborate with any other indie or mainstream dev, who would it be and why? Now, I know you've already mentioned the two gentlemen for the audio and for the monsters. Anybody else?
I mean, I will bring back the whole team that we had here, but there's a lot of good indie developers out there, and a big also AAA games. For example, I would love to work in Blubber Team. That would be awesome. I would love to work with Nat from the creator of Hollow Body. He did an amazing game by himself alone. Like, that's super impressive for me. Like, what he did, just being one guy, it's like, what the fuck? So imagine if I could collaborate with him. So there's a lot of people there, but also, like, it's nice to, if I'm doing something else right now, I think I will do something super small, so I can do it almost alone and have little help here and there, but manage to do it in a certain amount of time. But about other developers, there's too many. So, and also it's like once you are started working with, because there's good things about and bad things about with working with a bigger team. It's like with a bigger team, you have to be more in sync, and if you are not in sync, maybe there are some contradictions here and there. With a smaller team, it's easier to give feedback and receive feedback and listen to everyone, and everyone can give ideas. So I prefer this smaller side of the side things always.
Okay, perfect. Well, I just wanted to say thank you so much, Roberto, for taking the time out of your day to chat with us on the channel today. And we wish you all the best with your next endeavour. So, yeah, thank you so much.
No, thank you very much. I had a lot of fun, and thank you for having me here and giving voice and visibility to our game.